one thing that you all have in common, which I thought, seeing drummers play all my life and having a bit of a technical eye for how they do what they're doing, just to see what you all do, even though it's so individual when you actually make music out of it, is something that I think is a big lesson that drummers need to learn. And it's the simplest thing ever, letting the stick bounce. I can't tell you how many young students I see, even in college, who don't grasp on that Murray Spivak's lesson number one, pretty much. Getting the stick to bounce, letting it bounce, and then having the idea of what's called the molar or the outside release. I think those are two. If you see these drummers play, there's some things that they all do together, and then they all have their own version of how you utilize your technique. But you agree with that? That's just so important.
I do. Again, it's how do you make music easy? How can you express your what's going on in your head through your body to the instrument, to the audience, And the quicker that process can be, the more fun you're going to have.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everybody's got these great ideas in their head, and if you can, that's the reason you want to have technique.
Right.
So you can express yourself, so you can have a vocabulary and play whatever you want to play without stress and without, then it's just more fun. But it becomes, if you analyze these very basic few motions and figure out where upstrokes can go to make everything easy, and also, get the concept of the faster you play, the more relaxed you are.
Say that again.
No, the faster you play, the more relaxed you should be.
Big lesson.
The opposite.
Yeah.
Not everybody does that, but that was a big lesson to me. And I'll also throw in, I was a kid when I was taken from Murray Spivak, but he also said, we're working on all this very focused hand technique, but when you play with a band, you don't think about any of this. He said, you just listen. You get your head in the music, and I tell all my students that. You'll work on this stuff on the pad and on the snare drum, but there'll become an organic crossover period because it's just easier. And usually a student says, I was at this festival gig playing the other day, and I was playing really hard, and I thought, I'll just relax. And then I realized, I'm doing this grip again. I'm doing this, what you showed me. So eventually it crosses over, but it shouldn't be forced. Definitely not when you're playing in the band.
Well, also too, every percussion instrument is set into vibration and makes a sound from itself, right? So if I hit and I don't release, if I don't pull the stick away, I'm choking the sound of a tom or a cymbal or you name it.
Correct.
A wood block or an anvil.
Yeah.
That's right.
You have to just get off of it as soon as possible in order to pull the sound out of it.
Also, that's such a great topic on its own. Each of us playing the same kit will have 4 different sounds, right? Many young drummers don't listen to the tone. Like guitar players spend their whole life trying to achieve the tone, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with the drum kit. You can smash all the energy downward into it with a choke, and it can sound very attacking, very forceful, and sometimes that's the right thing to do in a certain song. But the guys that I grew up listening to, like Jeff Porcaro and Jim Keltner, I realized they're not hitting that hard, but they're getting a massive sound. Just this huge low end is coming off of the bass drum, and it's everything's sounding completely mixed, even though they're just playing acoustically, the baked potato or something. So that was really something I thought about for years. Like, how do you get that kind of sound? Then I learned, when you're in the studio, you're actually playing for the microphones. You're not playing as hard as you can for the guy way over here to hear it. No, you're playing to these mics that are just this far from your head.
You don't want to redline the mics.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
So, but then you figure out, how much energy do I need to make the maximum effect I want with the biggest sound? And often that's not playing 100% muscle.
Right. Draw the sound out.
And sometimes it's playing 10% less. But and again, that gives you more longevity if you're not working as hard. So
And Thomas mentioned fun. There's one element that we haven't talked about yet, but I know the 5 of us, and Don is a really great drummer, and you've played a lot of gigs. When you play gigs, you play in front of people. And like Ringo says, I will play until I can't hold the sticks anymore. And what I love to do is play and look out at the audience. And there's people with Sgt. Pepper suits, yellow submarines, and you play. We've all, the five of us, have played so many gigs where you get inspiration and fun from watching people dance, or watching people move, or smile, or sometimes cry tears of joy if it's a song they love. So in the studio, you're playing, and you're playing for a producer and an engineer and the artist and everything else, and that's one thing. But when you're playing live, I mean, I didn't start playing so I could play in a recording studio. I love it, but I started playing so I could play at the middle school dance and have people go, right on, man. And there's a pretty girl over there. Hey, you get a lot back from an audience. Right?
Oh yeah,
that's fun.
Total energy.
Absolutely.
You never play. You try, right? But you never play the same. That's why Frank would always record live. One time we set up in the chateau and, sounds all day and all that kind of technical jump, bang, bang, bang. Okay, can you, just endless, right? And then we start to play and it's like, no, forget it. You guys don't play like you play live in the studio. So I'm just going to record live from now on.
Wow.
That was it.
Live at the Roxy.
There was the energy that we got, that's important. Everybody, knows it and feels it and
There's a way on the
aspires towards that.
Yeah.
on the website, if you just want to kind of play for fun and you have a busy schedule and you're not looking at having a lot of time to practice, go down to a part of the website which we call a quick guide. You know, when you get all those bookcases to put together, you love the little quick guide. This is kind of a quick guide. Chad Smith's Basic Rock Drumming Chad's Way. We have a course there which teaches anybody how to play drums. If you don't think you can play drums, we can show you how to play drums. And Greg Bissonette is there doing a 1 and 2 and after I do together, right. So just go right to the bottom of the Academy page and you'll learn how to play drums, a basic rock beat. Once you drink the water, you're going to want to have more fun, and that's when you're going to want to go up and choose one of the courses that you want to take here. Certainly the Murray Spivak method will get you into your technique. You get more vocabulary, learn more about melodic playing and learning how to use the drum set as a musical instrument. And with Thomas, you're going to be able to take your playing and your technique to a whole different level, applying it to the rhythms. Yeah. And we also have the new drum channel method, which is taking reading technique, independence, and performance in a syllabus where teachers can take it or universities or schools can take it on a week-by-week schedule as you'd be giving a student lessons where they'd learn a little bit in each one of those things. And as you're learning a little bit in each one of those things, that's when you want to branch off, just like you all did. You took from teachers, and then if you had the opportunity to come to town, you came to town, you took a lesson right away. You've taken lessons from a very early age, and you've taken lessons. You've all taught each other, because I've seen you when you come out to Drum Channel. Like, where are they? Well, they're in the corner showing each other what they're doing. It's an endless quest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Thomas, the other day I was watching his lesson, and he shows you these techniques and then expands upon them. So you can just do so much with just like, okay, here's this, and then he describes what hands and what feet are doing what. And then, okay, now we can go this way, and so, it's like symmetrical on each side of your body, and then adding more notes, either with the feet or with the hands. And, I'm just like, God, I never thought about teaching that way. I never thought about this, like that's a good lick. I'm gonna, I'm gonna steal that. And, it's wonderful to see how everybody does this in a different way. And it's all right. It's all important, Yeah.
In addition to these 4 members of our faculty, Greg, you know well the other teachers that we have here on Drum Channel who you can also take lessons from. If you're a little intimidated, like, I'm not that good, I'm not going to be able to show these guys what I'm doing yet or glean from what they're going to be showing me. Al Velasquez teaches on the site. You know Al well. I think
Al's a great drummer. Yeah.
And some of your students, Adam Coons, Elias Vasquez.
Adam too.
Adam Coons is here, a great young teacher too. You can access any of them. So again, it's that combination of online and real in-person lessons, which is going to make you progress the fastest for sure. Let's go around really quickly and we'll talk about exactly what you have on the website so people get a little better understanding. You have the Chad Wackerman drum room. The Murray Spivak method is about 31 lessons. When you studied, you took them every other week.
I did, yeah.
And you had to practice how long each day?
Minimum 2 hours a day.
So I know you don't have that much time out there, but you're on your own time here. You can do it a little bit slower as you go through it. But the key is it's different than just looking at a lesson and then moving on and looking at the next lesson. You had somebody as you would go through them pretty much look at you. One time you said, which I thought this was great, you didn't practice 2 hours, and he nailed you, right?
Yeah, he had one of those teachers who'd been teaching so long. He just knew when you walked into the room. It was like, oh, so what? Like you didn't get 2 hours in this. And my brother had the same thing happen to him, and he really wasn't prepared for one lesson. And
Brooks,
this was John actually,
okay.
and Murray just said, "Well, you don't have to be a drummer." Like, why are you wasting my time?
My time.
And it was true, because at the time it took 6 months to even sign up to get the point where you could get a lesson with him. But anyway.
And in Chad's drum room, which you get as a member of Drum Channel, you get all of their courses. You have modular drumming also. Tell us a little bit about
right,
what
which was well, it's a similar concept of what you're talking about, Thomas doing, where I just take one pattern and show you 12 applications for one little lick or one sticking, or sometimes even a one motion.
And there's bonus lessons that you have on there too. The Alan Holdsworth one you just did.
Yeah, I've broken down a couple of the Alan Holdsworth tunes, Metal Fatigue and Devil Take the Hindmost, and explained the form of the tune and why I chose to play what I played. And they're fun. Yeah.
Did a lesson on jazz ride patterns also.
Kicking a big band, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the kicking a big band is a whole course unto itself.
That's about how to read a drum chart.
Yeah.
And it starts. It shouldn't be intimidated by that, because I'm starting at a level of a middle school student. So if you can understand quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, some 16th notes, then you can understand this. Yeah.
And
I can teach you those quarter notes, triplets, and because that's my whole thing. It's like, okay, we've got duple. There's only about 16 little one-beat figures, right? And they could be sixteenths or eighths or quarters. But once you memorize that little paragraph, right, those figures you should recognize like an old friend. Like, I know that's Don Lombardi. I know that's Chad Wackerman, right? This is Bumpara, or whatever. And so, and then there's even less in triplets, right? So, 2 little paragraphs of information is pretty much all that you need in music to understand, to have a framework for most of what we do. And then, to combine those and get into polyrhythms and odd times and all that stuff later, it's still 2 and 3. So,
and also, I mean, these rhythms you're talking about, once you become a good reader, when you do a session, you do a big band to a songwriter, you're reading the same things over and over and over and over again. It's not like learning a new language.
Yeah.
It's like learning a paragraph.
Yeah.
Because there's so much repetition in it. And it gets to the point where I see these things as like a word.
Yeah, exactly.
I see it like a graphic.
Like a symbol, exactly.
Like you see ba-ba-da, 1, 2, and. That looks like a word to me, because I know the shape of that.
Right.
Bucket of fish.
But, yeah.
And that's another
Debbie boom. You had this morning.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what does that mean?
That's my brother's line.
But that's great.
I actually played a
reference,
Pat Boone heavy metal big band album once. This lady from the Union. Yeah, this is Patty from the Union. We've got a session Tuesday and Wednesday at Ocean Way. It's a big band album of heavy metal songs with Pat Boone singing. What? And he walks in the room, and I couldn't help it.
there.
Yeah, I'm there. I can't wait. And he walks in the room, and I go, Pat, you might
Music
not know
of
this,
people.
but your name, and ever since your daughter, Debbie Boone, had the hit You Light Up My Life, your name is synonymous with drum fills. He said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, there's Pat Boone, Debbie Boone. And he's going, cameras over here. And I said, and we throw a little Bewitched in, Pat Boone, Debbie Boone, and Agnes Moorehead. And he was like, let's go to Denny's. You're Pat Boone. Yeah, I'll have a root beer float and a BLT. And his patent leather shoes on. He was hip.
All white?
What's that?
Was he wearing
yeah,
all
like
white?
all
Yeah.
Steve Sterling white. And he's singing, enter life, enter life. And in Panama, Sheila E. was playing percussion, and Lenny Castro had 1, 2, 3, Panama. He kept going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Panama. Panama. But he was the coolest, nicest guy, and he got such a kick out of doing it because he was just goofing,
Right.
What a nice guy. What a great guy. But yeah, reading, it's all words. It's all little words, bucket of fish.
We see the same things over and over. Yeah.
Yeah, you see the same things.
Yeah, that's why I always say it's really like the alphabet, and then you make small words out of that, and then you can tell a story, make sentences, and tell a story with rhythm.
Exactly.
I think you all agree, though, a very important asset for drummers to learn how to read.
Yes, because otherwise, you just hear things, and I mean, every once in a while, there's a genius like Dennis Chambers who doesn't read and he can just hear, like Indian stuff with McLaughlin and phenomenal things. But the rest of us kind of have to practice.
Absolutely.
The other half of learning how to read, why it's so important, is
transcribing.
What you're famous for. Greg Bissonette, Mr. Transcriber.
Vocabulary is the name of my school because it's like Terry just said. You learn a word, then there's a sentence becomes a paragraph, that becomes a chapter, then you've got your book. And if you don't have your vocabulary, then you can't really tell your story without having to think. And like Terry said, don't think, just let go and let God. And the reading in the vocabulary, too, it's important because, for instance, with Ringo, I started playing double drums with Ringo, my hero, in 2003, and I've got this notebook, and it's right on my cowbell, and I can just not really act like I'm reading, but I'm looking down, and he says, what do you got on your cowbell, brother? I said, well, we're doing all these different songs, and, sometimes we'll pull out different things, or these people all have live arrangements, that fades out in the album, but the end can be bop, ba-da-da-bo, ba-ba, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pop. I can't remember that.
That's a Vegas ending.
That's a Vegas ending. But like Todd Rundgren or, people, they just have crazy endings. So he says, well then, cue me, will you? And I said, yeah. He said, what should I play on Rosanna? I don't do all that tickly stuff, And I said, well, tickly, the ghost notes, And I said, well, play whatever you want, He goes, I'm asking you. And I said, why don't you just go, He said, well, what if I just go and have fun with it, and you look at those notes and you cue me? And I said, thank you. I want to cue you. You're my hero. And then Don and I invented the tambourine pedal because he says we don't always have time to pick up a tambourine. And I said, well, I'll put it right here by my hi-hat. And so we're playing.
It out a little further.
And he's going, where's that tambourine coming from? It's your left foot.
Move it over a little bit.
What's that?
Move it over there. Yeah.
So you can like you play 8 notes. You can play an accent. You can get a shucka, shucka, shuck. But I remember coming to Don. I want to get a tambourine, but I want to be able to I want to have the throwback. And you, with your genius and the pad, we came up with that together. So the tambourine pedal also available in the LP model. Thank you, Don.
A shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Just happen to have one here.
You have a need and you go, I got an idea, and he'll make it for you.
He'll make it.
It's not like everybody in the world wants that,
Yeah.
So, they're not going to sell 1 million, right? It's just, I got what I want, remote bass drum pedal or something, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And then, that's it.
Brilliant.
They gather dust in the warehouse.
That's it. But they're selling.
You have 10 lessons, I think, on vocabulary in your drum school, and you got about 25 or so lessons on classic drum beats. People can get in.
Yeah,
this is a real fun part of the website.
A lot of people just say, I love Neil Peart. How do I play like Neil Peart? I said, what? You can't play like Neil Peart. Because only Neil Peart can play like Neil Peart. And only Chad Smith can play like Chad Smith, and only Charlie Watts can play like Charlie Watts. You can go, but you're not going to sound just like Charlie Watts. But why not learn some of the really fun, recognizable, like with Ringo, every night I get to do a solo. And I said, what if I just do a solo like with a lot of my favorite drum beats and we'll get a response? So the first gig was in Toronto, home of Rush. Neil's from St. Catharines, but really close to Toronto. So I'm drum solo, and I just went, and all the people were like, whoa! I could have tried to go, and they would go, okay, but if you go, and whoa, whoa. And then the second song I go into, because I have a cowbell right there, an LP cowbell, by the way. Kick up, kick up, up, kick up, kick up, boom, kick up, kick up, is a honky tonk. Well, people know that. And then Ringo's right there, and I'm going, should I do it? I'm going to do it. And he's going, all right. I go, well, I'll push it a little further. And he's going, yeah. And then I really pushed it. And he's going, that's cool. Keep it in the act. So, and then you go American Band, Don Brewer, Wipeout, Gene Krupa, Sing, Sing, Sing. Cozy Cole, Topsy, Manic Depression, Mitch Mitchell. You can play these beats, and that's the fun factor. If you want to impress your friends, when I was a kid, my dad would always tell me, in the 50s, 40s, my dad was born in 31, in the late 30s and 40s and 50s, oh, you're a drummer? Can you play like Gene Krupa? When I was a kid, born in 59, you're a drummer? Can you play Wipeout? And he does it with his feet on the,
well, I had to do something different.
Dweezil thing for Encino Man. You played it with your feet.
It was Back to the Beach with Annette Funicello and
That's what it
Frankie
was.
Avalon or something.
Tell us about that. Come on.
And who was playing piano? Keyboard? Who wasn't?
I think Herbie Hancock. Right. You know, that was just like really a hard session.
I haven't heard about this ever.
Oh, this is amazing. Please.
It was just a one-off session. Herbie, it was Dweezil's session, right? He got the call to do Wipeout, a cover of Wipeout. And he called me and Herbie Hancock to do it.
As you do.
Wipeout. We need Herbie.
Yeah, as you do, right? And I'm thinking one whole genre and then the son of another whole genre.
Right.
And like, what the hell? This, I think my most vivid memory of being with Frank and meeting Dweezil, he had a Superman outfit on. He was about this tall, climbing up the stairs in the studio where we rehearsed, and long hair and just like a kid, And now he's like 13 or 14. He's playing his ass off on a guitar. Mm-hmm. So, that was really strange because, you're thinking Herbie, Miles, everything, Bartok and all that. And, and Dweezil. And so, I thought, well, what the hell can I do? And I did double bass, and then I did like a flammed rough on the accent. So
That's
it was like,
right.
whatever the pattern is. Yeah.
I'll never forget him.
Yeah, I'll never forget doing it.
He's doing that with his feet.
And of the art of drumming.
A lifetime's worth of stuff you can work on, folks.
And also the art of drumming is an interview show that you have on Drum Channel, which you recently interviewed Billy Cobham.
I've been blessed to have so many great drummers, so many of my heroes to get to talk to and to play or jam with, Really, thanks, Don. That's been a wonderful thing.
Well, thank you. Are you kidding? It's not only an honor for me, but for all of you out there too. Joe Travers, you just did, which we're going to be putting
Joe
up.
And
Neil Peart.
Yeah, and Art
jamming
Tripp.
with Neil.
Yeah, Neil.
Who
else did? Oh, one of the big ones was Nick Mason from Pink Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, God,
Ziggy
Pink
with
Floyd.
the meters you did.
Oh yeah, Zigaboo.
We got to do that together.
God, yeah, exactly. Double clutch.
Double clutch.
Neil Peart correctly identified Terry as the artist in residence.
Oh, that was sweet.
That said, we're going to have teachers on. Well, Terry is the artist in residence. That's exactly right. So we miss him. He was such a huge advocate.
Yeah,
I'll never forget when, way back in the day, when I said I'm going to build a website and I want to put together a vault of information for drummers, not only the legendary teachers, but all the experience that you guys have to bring. We need to document that someplace. I didn't want to say, do you want to be part of it or anything? And I just said, I want to do this educational website. Before I got anything out of my mouth, he said, oh, I'd love to be part of that. It's just like, and so I thought, well, we'll come out and do an interview or something. I said, well, just let me know, what would you like to do? I'd like to do a whole course. So it's like he put his whole course together, which was, he just wanted to give back. He wanted to be one of the lads, which is what he was when he came out,
Really intelligent and a gentleman. And You know, I mean, the only rock show I've ever been to where the whole audience was air drumming instead of air guitar playing. You know, with just like note for note, everybody doing that. You know, and it's such a shame that he got that disease and died. You know, and it makes us all think, man, live for today. You know, try and
No kidding.
I want to get this today. You know, or you know, whatever. Do something to have some fun and enjoy your life. And he would rehearse for hours. You know, and for a month or so, right before he would go out on
Every tour he would block out the Drum Channel studio for 4 weeks, and he would work it like a day gig.
Yeah.
Come in at 9, have a 45-minute lunch at noon, leave at 3.
Yeah.
I remember at the power station, because he produced Burning for Buddy, and he had his own little room where every time some drummer wasn't playing a take, he'd be in there practicing his bit, and just practicing. And once he came over, the last time I saw him, he came over and he said, could we just double drum in 3 today? He was vocabulary hungry. I said, 3? You want to play, like, I have my little trumpet. You want to play bluesette? Let's play bluesette. I said, you want to play Latin 3, double bass metal 3, rock 3? He said, I want to play everything in 3 because I don't play in 3 enough. And like you just said, he's like, let's grab it today. I want to do it now. I want to learn a new language. He was just always growing.
Yeah.
He is on several shows on Drum Channel. The best thing to do, actually, with all these gentlemen is you can go on to drumchannel.com and look up their names in the search, and you'll come up with, you've contributed so much through the years. I can't thank you enough when we think of the roundtables that you've done and people that you've jammed with. And the universe, of course. Not only did we have a lot of the jams that you've done with various artists out there, but the boot camps too, which have been amazing. And you break down the universe into several areas. We've got the hand technique, which I think there's 150 so lessons in that category. And explain, they're short lessons. They're specific lessons on specific things.
Yes, the whole syllabus, if you like, is divided into large chapters: hand technique, foot technique, coordination, independence, groove playing, timing, micro-timing, tempo exercises. And then opinions and advice is also a big section. And then video blogs, kind of B-roll kind of stuff, behind the scenes stuff, being on the road, backstage footage and so on. So kind of a little more entertainment stuff. But the important chapters in regards to technique are, of course, hand and foot technique. And I show a lot of rudiments and then applications of the rudiments. So a rudiment is not just a pad exercise, it's vocabulary. You know, you can use it on the drum set and produce really specific patterns and sounds in a very easy and comfortable, efficient way using the right stickings. So there's a lot of stuff on hand technique, then there's a lot of stuff on foot technique, same thing, rudiments for the feet, and then applications over multiple pedals and single, double strokes, mixed stickings, flams, all the stuff you can do with your hands, you can do with your feet. And then the combination of hands and feet. So it's a very comprehensive, way. I think the way it's laid out, and
bonus lessons you have on there too.
Lots of bonus lessons on there.
We keep putting new things on with all these gentlemen.
Exactly.
We keep putting new things on all the time.
And we're adding to the Drum Universe with the Drum Universe Live. All the streams we're doing, we're posting those as well and reposting those, and there's tons and tons of lessons in there, just in the streams alone.
And I know one of the roundtables I remember you were in, which was great, was with Jim Keltner and Tony Royster. And same thing, look up on Originals in Drum Channel, which is where we have all of our shows, all the different roundtables. People, you have any ones that you remember specifically that stick out in your mind?
Just on talking about rudiments, Alex with congas, playing rudiments on congas and Latin percussion.
That's a course we have on the site too, yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like a rudiment.
Right,
yeah. You know, and suddenly you're like in Peru. So, but also Ephraim, I think the thing we did together was just an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And what he's taught me, my God,
Efferentoro you're speaking
Yeah,
of.
Efferentoro.
And in our courses, there's linear to harmonic.
Yes.
A great course you did with Efferentoro.
Yeah,
also.
Ephraim is a genius, and he sees things we don't see. You know, like if you're in 5 and it's grouped 3 plus 2, if you put a 4 over the 3 and a 3 over the 2, which most drummers understand those polyrhythms, you have 7 in 5, right? And if you put a 5 over the 3 and then a 3 over the 2, and I don't know how that works, but it works. It's 8 over 5, and it sounds like a funk beat underneath, but you know, the ostinato stays the same.
Go onto Drum Channel and look for, which he did, take 5 in 7.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's perfect. You can count it in 7 or you can count it in 5, and that's the
Keep your place.
That's the best. That's the best. He goes between one and the other. You can. That's the best example when you hear that.
Yeah.
Which was, speaking of take 5, Joe Morello. We have a great historical course on Joe, on Jimmy Cobb. You know, in our originals, there's a historical section trying to get those. You know, look at that generation and what they brought in. And Joe played Take 5 for the first time in 20 years with Gene Wright when they came to Drum Channel. It was kind of a surprise for both of them.
How about Joe Porcaro teaching to read and Ralph?
Exactly right.
How about talking about making the best of what you've got? How about these two guys playing together with the great Dean Zimmer?
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He pulls up in his wheelchair, has arthrogyposis from birth, and just comes out, puts the strings around his hands, takes him 10 minutes to get on that seat. But once he does, fun. He's smiling. Thomas threw a huge birthday party for him here a while back, and he just beamed. He still talks about that. But what you guys did that day, playing drums, double drums and percussion with Dean Zimmer, that's the fun factor of like, man, if he's not complaining about life, and he has every reason to
You know,
complain.
that's Dean is such an inspiration.
I can't thank you all enough, you know,
Yeah.
and you can find them online if you go to our Drum Channel Academy. Also, there's courses where all of our friends have come on to do lessons. We have the master classes. Courses are specific subjects. We've already talked about a couple of them here that you can see. You can get, you know, immersed in some of the courses too, so they're not easy. Marco Minimum 6-way independence. There's things that will expand your horizons. Once you get into the academy and you kind of learn how to play and you get a good idea of what you're playing, which these gentlemen will show you, look at all the courses that we have. Any place you can go to look at a drummer play after that, you're going to learn something.
And shows. I mean, it's a worldwide thing. We have African drummers. We have a guy from Uzbekistan, who brought his troupe to play, a guy from Japan to play his taiko drumming and using ostinatos with taiko, which is, you know, never been done. So many things, you know. It'll give you a lot of depth, you know.
No question. Again, I can't thank you all enough. Questions you have for these gentlemen or for me, you can email me at donlombardi@drumchannel.com. If you're interested in lessons at all, support@drumchannel.com, and we'll connect you with them and do everything we can to bridge that gap between the way you learned how to play drums, the way kids have the opportunity to play drums right now, so you can take advantage of both, which is going to make you a better drummer even faster, and you're going to have more fun.
More fun.
It is all about fun, right?
It's all about.
Yeah, why do we keep doing this?
That's
It's fun.
We hate it.
And it keeps you young too at this point, right? No question about that. All right. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you.